You have probably seen those aesthetic desk setups on YouTube where someone has their iPad floating on a magnetic stand. It looks like the ultimate minimalist dream. A dream device that can be your tablet, your laptop, and your entire workstation. So you buy into the hype. You get a 12.9-inch iPad, you snap on the magic keyboard, and you sit down ready to optimize your digital life. But then you actually try to get real work done. And that beautiful dream shatters pretty fast. Here's the thing. When you spend that kind of money, reaching well above the price of a really good MacBook Air, you expect a machine that adapts with your workflow. But instead you are forced to adapt to its limitations. Every single day you are fighting the software, you are missing basic features that have existed on computer for 20 years. And honestly, it starts to silently stress you out. You're losing time, you're losing horizontal screen space, and if you're a creator, you might literally be losing your money. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly why the iPad still fails as a laptop replacement in 2026. I'm going to walk you through the harsh realities of the software limitations, the hidden hardware flaws, and the stupid everyday annoyances that nobody talks about. By the end of this video, you will know exactly if you should buy an iPad or if you should just save your hard-earned money and stick with a proper Mac. So let's get into it. Let's start with something you physically feel every single time you touch a device. Haptics. There is no haptic motor inside this iPad. This means there is absolutely no vibration feeling when you're long pressing apps, navigating the UI, or typing on the glass. If you use an iPhone, you know this tiny satisfying tap when you almost do anything. It gives you a physical confirmation that the device is registered with your touch. On the iPad, it's just dead glass. For a device that is this expensive, typing or interacting with the screen feels surprisingly hollow. Next, let's talk about web browsing. There is no proper browser with vertical tabs and multiple spaces, like you get with the Arc browser on your Mac. Now, I know some of you are going to say this, but Safari supports multiple profiles. Yes, it does, but honestly, it's nowhere near as good as Arc. With Arc on my Mac, I can just simply swipe between spaces and profiles seamlessly. I have to manually click on the profile icon to select the next profile you want to open. It actually breaks your flow. It's good that Safari finally gives you an option to pin and organize tabs onto tab groups, but it's not nearly as powerful as the folder feature in Arc. In Arc, you can also insert another folder inside a folder. As someone who likes to organize stuff, it's something that I really miss. Safari can't open multiple tabs at the same window. Arc on the Mac can handle 4 tabs at the same time in one clear view. Plus, you literally cannot adjust the width of the window that houses the vertical tabs in Safari. This was a huge bummer considering the iPad already has a limited horizontal width. On the iPad, you are wasting precious screen real estate. This is where it hurts the most. I edit mostly on Affinity as well as DaVinci Resolve on my M4 Mac Mini. I was genuinely bummed when I found out that Affinity for iPad is still not out yet. Well, Affinity Designer, Photo, and Publisher is still there. Luckily, I had gotten a lifetime subscription of this previously, but using it on my iPad still feels like an inferior copy of the Mac version. For those who don't know, Affinity is a great one-time purchase alternative to Photoshop, and DaVinci Resolve is what I use for video editing. I tried the free version of DaVinci on my iPad, but some specific plugins that I rely on my Mac simply are not available on the iPad. The liquid glass effect you see right now on this video, it's completely unsupported here. If you have a specific creative workflow, the iPad will almost force you to find a compromise. The Files app on the iPad is not strong enough. Although Apple gave it a massive list of user-requested features over the years, it still lacks the most important ones. For starters, you can't have multiple tabs open at the same time, just like Finder on your Mac. You're forced to open entirely separate windows, which clutters your screen. But the most stressful part, there is no proper way to eject any drives or external SSDs connected to the iPad. When I plug my 1TB charge SSD, I just have to yank it out of the port and pray my files don't get damaged. It's 2026 and still we don't have this eject button. As someone who uses multiple monitors at the same time, like a triple monitor setup that I use on my home office, having a single monitor setup feels completely limiting. The iPad supports only one external display. That's it. And worse, it lacks clamshell mode. On Mac, you can just close the lid, hide your laptop away, and purely work on the big external monitor with an external keyboard and a mouse. On the iPad, if you chose to close the magic keyboard, the whole thing just goes to sleep, and you're forced to keep it open while you're at desk. Side note though, if you find this video helpful and you're into content about optimizing your digital life, hit that subscribe button and share this video with a friend who is still thinking about buying an iPad. It's completely free and it helps me make more videos like this. Let's talk about the price. When you take the base price of the iPad Pro and combine it with the cost of a Magic Keyboard, and the cost absolutely skyrockets. You are immediately reaching the MacBook Air price category there. You're paying more money for a device that does less, all for the illusion of flexibility. I mean, Apple, please bring macOS to iPad. Please. I beg you. I'm not sure exactly what mathematical aspect ratio iPad follows, but most content is not still optimized for the screen unless you're an IMAX 70mm enthusiast. Most movies are shot on a wider aspect ratio, so when you watch movies on an iPad, the screen has a massive black bars on the top as well as the bottom. You can zoom in to fill the frame, but then you lose a huge chunk of the content on both sides. This isn't just a media consumption problem. It affects real work too. In apps such as Spreadsheet, most of your horizontal data is completely hidden, meaning you have to swipe and scroll constantly. And as I said previously, in browsers with vertical tabs open, you lose even more horizontal space. It's not just on browser, anything with vertical tabs, you lose space here. Growing up, I always thought the cellular version of the iPad could make regular phone calls. But guess what? It can't. You can insert a SIM card inside it, but it's strictly for cellular data. You can't just open the dialer app and make normal phone calls. Sure, you can make phone calls because of the continuity features of your iPhone if your iPhone is nearby and with an active SIM card inside it. But it's incredibly annoying. And here is the real privacy concern. The iPad does not have an earpiece. This means even if you make an audio call via Signal or Telegram, the calls will default to loudspeaker unless you have an earphone or AirPods connected. The whole room will hear your conversation. Android tablets has always been able to make regular calls for years. Why can't this iPad do this basic thing? Why? Why Apple? This might be just because I'm currently testing the public beta of iOS 27, not the iOS 27, the iPadOS 27, but the device sometimes feels noticeably choppy. There is a slight delay in animations even on this M2 Pro model. I noticed this when opening and closing heavy apps like DaVinci Resolve or Affinity Designer and heavy games such as BGMI and Genshin Impact. The most stupid thing is that when you try to rotate your screen, which is the simplest thing an iPad could do, there is a slight delay there, a stuttering lag which feels really annoying. Again, maybe it's because it's a public beta, but for the hardware inside this, it shouldn't struggle this much. And finally, the weight. Although I probably don't have the right to complain here because I intentionally bought the 12.9-inch variant. I feel like this is something YouTubers just don't talk about enough. I have to agree that the design is incredibly thin, but it's damn heavy, man. My arms literally start hurting if you try to hold it to watch a movie or play a game for more than 50 minutes. I have to rest it on my chest or on the bed while watching movies. But during gaming, like when I'm playing BGMI, I have no choice but to hold it. And it's a massive strain on your hands or your wrist or forearms, yeah, literally anything. So this is my reality of using the iPad. It is a beautiful piece of hardware trapped in an operating system that refuses to grow up. Apple, please, macOS on iPad, please do that. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, you might also like these videos here. See you next time, same day, same time. Sayonara.